Hey, what's going on everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Star Wars Coffee, where in today's episode we're going to be taking a look at the essentially Arrowverse that Disney Star Wars is starting. That's today here on Star Wars Coffee. So if you're familiar with Arrow, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, and all of that, you're familiar with what is known as the Arrowverse. And for those of you who aren't in the CW TV superhero and you just are about Star Wars, for the simplest terms, it is essentially just a connected universe in the same way that the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is just a connected universe. So essentially, Marvel's Cinematic Universe is something that the CW did with Arrow, creating their own universe, which is DC. So the Arrowverse is DC, and now Disney is taking that and adapting it to Star Wars. So what this means is essentially that we can have crossovers between certain characters, which is essentially what the rumored version of Ahsoka is. So that's what the rumored Ahsoka cameo that turns into her own TV series is in development. Both of those have been rumors for the last several months, and we were expecting some type of official announcement from Lucasfilm and Star Wars Disney at SWCC, Star Wars Celebration, which we did not get. So now we have to take a look at the fact that this is still a thing, but what I wanted to do is kind of break down the shows for you guys. We're going to take a look at this article from LRM Online, which essentially just kind of highlights everything I was outlining, but they've kind of done it all. So let's take a look at this. If you are a Star Wars fan, news has been mixed as of late. First, we got a reveal for Star Wars Squadrons, which was really pumped. However, there was no Star Wars Celebration, which has been cancelled. So, essentially, according to the source at Lucasfilm, the plan is to create a universe where all of the shows will be connected with a central storyline. One big inspiration was the popular Game of Thrones series. I know it's a weird comparison, but let me explain. Instead of making one epic Game of Thrones show, it would be like if each family had their own show with a central storyline that spills into the others. The shows will be overseen by none other than Dave Filoni, who has successfully adapted Star Wars to the small screen, starting with the Clone Wars, Rebels, and The Mandalorian. We all knew that they were grooming Filoni for big things, and this suite of this shows exactly what it was below. Below is the official live-action show that Lucasfilm plans to tie together. So essentially what they're talking about is what I just said, but their analogy was Game of Thrones rather than the Marvel Cinematic Universe or the Arrowverse. However, it makes a ton of sense that they're going to let Filoni run the show on this, with probably Favreau overseeing a good chunk of it, and Dave Filoni really doing most of the storylines and the nitty-gritty and deciding when to cross over what. Kind of like how Arrowverse had the CW with Arrow, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, and Supergirl crossover that you had to watch each night in order to get the full storyline. So, essentially Disney's trying to do the same type of thing, with their shows being The Mandalorian, obviously, which we have Season 1 in the can, Season 2 is coming in fall, and Season 3 has already been greenlit. The Ahsoka Tano show, which we have had rumored for a while since Rosario Dawson was cast, and even before that we had the rumor that Ahsoka was getting her own live-action show in the same universe as The Mandalorian, and presumably if they're going to be doing some type of interconnected MCU Arrowverse, it's going to have to be the same period right after Return of the Jedi, 6 years, somewhere in that timeline. They cite here, LRM cites a Boba Fett show, which I know nothing about, so not really going with that, but the fact that they're doing a MCU style thing with Star Wars makes sense. The Ezra Bridger / Grand Admiral Thrawn show, which we've heard some stuff about, but I'm not concrete enough to say that this is officially happening unless this is what they're referring to as the Rebel sequel series. And then they cite a new character show, which we have no information on either, but if they're going to do a new character show, it's probably going to be related to the High Republic. Continuing on, I know some of you noticed that the Obi-Wan Kenobi series is not part of this list. This is because this series will be a one-off that will exist off on its own, which we already knew. There will be shows that connect to this great Filoni-driven vision, and some don't. So essentially, those are the shows you should expect. Live action. I don't know anything about this Boba Fett show, so I wouldn't take anything on that. The only Boba Fett thing that I've picked up on as recently is the news about why the Boba Fett movie was canceled. We know Boba Fett's going to make a cameo in Season 2 of The Mandalorian, and what way we don't actually know how that's going to happen. But if the Boba Fett cameo in The Mandalorian Season 2 spins off correctly, it could end up working into his own show. And we know that Ahsoka is going to be in there, so that obviously makes sense for her to get her own show. We also have other corroborating rumors that cite this as well. Also with Rex appearing by Tamara Morrison, who's supposedly playing Boba Fett and Captain Rex. So we can expect that, and if that's the case, then Tamara Morrison's going to have some big shoes to fill in terms of Star Wars world. And the animated shows are going to be part of that, so the Rebel sequel series is probably what they're referring to at this point about that. But let me know what you guys think about Disney doing their own Star Wars MCU Arrowverse type of thing. Personally, I thought it was a great idea. I'm very happy they're doing it, and I hope that they end up putting these characters quite well. The only issue is, since it's not like a TV schedule where you can see Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday with all these various shows, they tend to do it seasonally, where you get one show this season, one show this season. So the connected universe is essentially going to have to be Ahsoka and The Mandalorian as of now, because Cassian takes place before Rogue One, and the Kenobi series takes place before A New Hope. So the only two shows that can currently be in it are those two, unless this Boba Fett show ends up coming to fruition. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. I'm sure Filoni can figure it out. Thank you guys for watching. May God bless you, and the Force be with you always. If you enjoyed this episode, and frankly, even if you didn't, don't forget to subscribe.
Do it!
And if you want to help spread the word, please give this video a thumbs up and tell your friends to subscribe. Please check out the official Star Wars Coffee merchandise, and don't forget to check out all of the content playlists on this channel, including The Rise of Skywalker, The Mandalorian, and much more.